everybody. Today I'm going to interview wonderful Karlyn Borysenko, and she is from, where are you from?
I'm from New Hampshire.
Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I met Karlyn last year in San Diego in coaching seminar, and she is doing wonderful work leading her own company and a business owner. She has done a huge transformation in her own life earlier, and today we're going to talk about courage and confidence because I find that she just makes things happen, and I admire Karlyn for that because she's just like, I want to do this, and she just make it happen. She organizes seminars, workshops. She is working with organizations, and she is her own business is very interested, and there's a special niche in that. And I want to hear a little bit more about how did you get into that, and how did you make it happen, and how was it like for you to find your own company and just leave the usual like order in life and start living extraordinary life. Like we can talk about that a little bit. But at first, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, what do you do? What do you like? Who are you?
Who am I? So the big question we're talking this morning. Well, I guess in my professional life, I'm an organizational psychologist. So I work with companies. I work with individuals one-on-one as a coach. My goal is to try to create better working experiences for people and to really empower people to take control over their careers. So that's the professional side of me.
Wow.
Yeah. Personal side, I'm married, I have a husband, we have 2 dogs, no kids. I live in the country.
Yeah, I love that. And you kind of you're leading your business from home, so you do everything online and everything is happening. Are you seeing any clients at the office, or are you organizing workshops online, or do you go to them?
I do most of my work out of my office. So I do most of my coaching via Skype or Zoom. I do a lot of webinars, a lot of online trainings. I'll run virtual trainings for companies out of my office. I do in-person stuff as well. So sometimes my clients will have me fly out to them to give a presentation or run a workshop or do that sort of thing. And I do end up coaching people in my area. And so we can sometimes meet in person as well. But usually it's just easier to meet over Skype because no one has to leave their office or their bedroom or wherever they are. So I'm not running in-person workshops right now. It's something I've thought about, but just haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. That sounds great. We have the freedom to work anywhere, and clients also, like, they can be at home, as you said. Like, many times my clients are in the bedroom. It's wonderful. It's convenient and comfortable, of course.
Exactly. And I find the clients I work with, they actually really appreciate being able, we have all the tools to be able to do this virtually.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients, they have multiple office locations. And so it just doesn't make sense to fly a person around all the time.
No.
We have this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about your passion and what is your mission with your companies and workplace? What do you do differently,
Oh, what do I do differently? Well, I think my work is very grounded in psychology. So I have a PhD in psychology. So obviously I focus a lot of my stuff there, but I also infuse mindfulness principles into it. So it's really, I try to take care of the whole person. The work I do is mostly focused on the professional environment, but honestly, with a lot of my clients, especially when I'm doing one-on-one coaching with people in organizations, it's really focusing on your whole person. Are you happy? At the end of the day, if you're happier, you're going to do better work. You're going to have higher levels of job satisfaction. You're going to have more balance. You're going to be able to do all the things you need to do to be successful in your career. So I think that's really kind of how I view kind of what I do as unique. I also like to think I'm very authentic.
You are.
People appreciate that because I don't gloss over the things that everyone knows is true, but that no one wants to say. And the minute that you say those things, people just relax. Okay, she understands.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit for example, like what kind of projects are you working on? How do you help people in the organization to be happier? Because I hear like many times people are so bored and, the days are like the same every day. And, there's there's no difference. What can you do just like shortly?
Sure. I mean, there is no easy answer to creating a happy working environment.
Yeah.
It starts with, the context that they're currently in. So with some of my clients, I come in and I'm working with the very top level of the company to help them put procedures and structures and trainings in place to help their entire team have greater levels of balance and satisfaction and engagement and stuff like that. I have clients that I am actually like their coach. I'll come in and coach multiple people within the company that, usually they tend to have some interpersonal issues with people. Not that they're trying to cause problems, and no one ever has the intention of causing problems, but, they just don't know how to communicate effectively. So teaching them how to communicate well with people really helps to kind of solve for some of those problems. And then I have, the biggest thing that I do that I actually think has the most impact is I do a lot of manager training. Because managers will make or break the culture in organizations. Managers at all levels.
Oh yeah.
Right? They create the day-to-day experience. And most managers are never trained on how to be managers. So I teach them how to do it from a very grounded human perspective. This is how you listen to people. This is how you empower people. This is how you delegate. This is how you let go of control, which it sounds odd to think that people have to be trained in those things, but where else have they learned it?
I know. And quite often people think that, okay, I don't have to improve my relationships at the workplace because it's just work. We do like before, we just follow the routines and processes and whatever, and that's the procedure. But, now you kind of are breaking that and you bring like a human approach to organizations, right? It's like very much human. We talk about communication, and I kind of think like any relationship, it's based on the level of communication.
Human beings are emotional beings. Every single decision we make, apart from like survival decisions, are emotional decisions.
Yeah.
And once you get people to really understand that, they can understand how important relationships are in organizations. They're everything. If people do not like you, you will not be able to get anything done.
Yeah, that's so true. And why you chose like why mindfulness? If you can talk about a little bit about that. I know it's like your work is kind of all about mindfulness, based on mindfulness, like how to live more in present.
I don't think, it's funny. I don't think I would say that I chose mindfulness as much as mindfulness chose me. I think because I was actually very resistant to mindfulness for a long time. I was like, meditation, mindfulness, what is this? I was actually very skeptical about it.
I love that,
I'm a convert. I'm a true convert. And I think that the way I kind of got around to it was because I believe that people, what we haven't talked about with what I do is I really try to empower people personally in their career. And even it doesn't matter what type of environment they're working in, good, bad, in between, it doesn't matter. If you're personally empowered, you're going to be more successful. And that's really where the mindfulness comes in, because it's really, I teach people how to know themselves, how to love themselves, how to slow down and think about what are the consequences of their actions, how are they going to make other people feel. And so I think that's really where it started infusing in, was just this perspective that no matter what is going on around you, you always have the power to control what you think.
Beautiful. That's it. That's mindfulness. That's the power of mindfulness as well. And I love the fact, because it's always like when you connect with yourself in the moment. And of course, if you recognize your emotions, that's like perfect, because then you can choose how you react and respond, right?
Exactly. And most people are so reactive in their professional environments, they don't take that moment. And that's when it all starts going awry.
Yeah, totally. And how do you, when we talk about like courage and especially confidence, it requires confidence to be yourself at the workplace and communicate honestly and really like talk about difficult issues as well. For example, like managers, and how can you really empower people to be more confident about themselves and so that they can talk about like emotional stuff and difficult issues that are not easily talked at the workplaces. So How do you relate that?
Yeah, I think the first thing I do with almost all of my clients is I have them do a DISC profile, and which is just a psychological assessment. It tells you
Yeah.
what work style you're bringing with you to work every
Mm,
day. And the reason, people will poo-poo things like the DISC profile or Myers-Briggs or whatever, but the fact is that when you get a high quality one, they're freakishly accurate. I
mhm.
have very rarely had someone look at those things and say, this doesn't describe me to a
Yeah.
T. Right?
Yeah.
And what that does for them is it shows them on paper, I'm okay. It's
Mm,
validation. It's I'm
yeah.
okay. This objective thing that I just took this little quiz and it spit this thing out at me that's
Yeah.
describing me. That means that other people are like me too. And,
There's
that
nothing wrong with me,
there's
right?
nothing wrong with me. I'm fine just the way I am. And
Yeah.
it shows people that like everyone has challenges, everyone has strengths, and it's just about knowing who you are and really what you bring to the table. And I say too, like, be proud of all your glorious flaws because we all have them.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. You're not
Yeah.
defective. And when you start with that and getting people to really become in touch with themselves that way, it goes a long way to helping empower them.
Mm. Wow. You do a lot, and it's really important the work that you do, because it's like when we change that, when we are becoming more human and more emotional and talk about it and understand the power of the present moment, because it's everything what we have, right? We
Mhm.
don't know about the future, so when we focus on that and people understand it, and especially that, because of what I see at my own work is like people can't, they don't know that they are okay. There's
Yeah.
something wrong with me. I'm not belonging, and
Mhm.
I am different than the others. And
Yeah.
when you change that, you change everything.
They're constantly looking for validation from other
Yeah.
people. And it usually goes back to the fact that mom and dad didn't love them in the way that they should be loved,
Yeah.
and for almost everyone. But when
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly looking for validation from other people, we're never going to find it. It's not
No.
their job to validate
Yeah.
us.
No.
It's our
No.
job.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's so inspiring. And now I want to talk about a little bit about your journey.
Mm.
What happened that you ended up
Mhm.
today, because there's a lot of going on. You're writing the book. I'm so excited about it. I want to hear the story.
Mhm.
How did that happen? But before that, tell me, like, before you started your own company, where you worked at the organization, and what happened before
Yeah.
before you make that transition and started transforming your own life.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got to go way back on this one,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking almost 10 years here. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to do marketing
Mm-hmm.
professionally, and I was a director of marketing at this small little company.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided I had finished my MBA a couple of years before that, and I just decided I want to do a PhD. And it was purely a self-actualization exercise.
Mm-hmm.
There was no actual purpose to it. I was just
You
like,
just wanted to have it.
I just wanted to have it. I wanted to be able to make people call me doctor. It was purely an ego exercise at that point.
And
So,
now they can,
and now they can. And so I started a program in industrial organizational psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think, was the first turning point for me. And I was
Yeah.
still doing marketing, but what happened in the job that I was in when I started my PhD is the CEO, she was a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
She was a downright crazy person. She was an absolute narcissist. She wreaked havoc on the company. And it
Mm-hmm.
was my first real glimpse at, this is like not okay. This is psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And at the time, I had had a couple jobs before that were fine. There were no crazy people involved. So I kind of thought it was just, okay, this person is not well, and I don't need to be at this company anymore. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended up leaving that job, and I got another job, and it went fine for a while. And I was still doing marketing. I was like a social media director at that point. And then I ended up hiring the wrong person, who then went and well, I'll tell the story. He ended up going and making like really good friends with the guy that was like 2 levels above me,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up essentially sabotaging me so that he could get me fired and make more money.
Wow.
And I knew this happened because I would get phone calls after I got fired from friends that I had in the community saying,
Mm-hmm.
so-and-so's going around bragging that he got you fired so he could make more money.
Wow.
And so that was and for me, like I had no idea what was going on when it
Of
was
course
going
not.
on.
Yeah.
And so it all just kind of bubbled up it
Mm-hmm.
happened very quickly. And for me, that just threw me into an absolute tailspin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really how I started to get on this bend of workplaces shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
Right. This was my first taste. And looking back on it, I know now that it was workplace bullying, what he was doing to me. I didn't have
Of
words
course.
for it at the time.
Yeah.
So it was really my first introduction to that. I was like, I need to use what I'm doing in this PhD program to help this problem, because this is not
Mm-hmm.
okay. Now I've
No.
experienced this at a couple different jobs. And so a couple months later, I got a new job, marketing again. It was fine. But that was when I started Zen Workplace. Right
Mm-hmm.
after that happened. And it started off as just a site for me to write. It was
Yeah.
just a blog. That was all it was. And I
Okay.
really didn't know what it was going to become. I didn't have any
Mm-hmm.
at that point. I was just like, I want to write about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I was also doing a lot of research into workplace bullying. My dissertation ended up being about workplace bullying and all that. So and so it just slowly kind of escalated, slowly built. It was a very slow
Mm-hmm.
build for many, many years. And eventually, like, I would get people reaching out to me, wanting me to do stuff for them, just here and there. And I knew a couple years after that, okay, I'm going to go do Zen Workplace full time at some point. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what that's going to look like. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how I'm going to make money, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go do that at some point. So just kept building. And, you know, in this time period, when I kind of had my full-time job and I was doing this, I was building the infrastructure to be able to run a business.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, obviously building my email list. I was building the
Mm-hmm.
back-end systems you need for like accounting and all the boring
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
social media. And so
Yeah.
getting all that stuff in place so that when I was ready to go, I knew I
Mm-hmm.
could go. So about a year before I went full-time, got another job. I thought that this job was going to be my dream job. I really did. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, at least for a little while, I was very honest with them in the interview. I said, look, I've got 2 or 3 years at this, and then I'm going to go do Zen Workplace full-time.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
upfront with them.
Yeah.
And the woman that I ended up working for and the CEO that she worked for just turned out to be absolute narcissists again.
Wow, that happened again. Okay,
It was like,
that's
and
very interesting that
it
that kind of
is.
pattern, showed up
Mhm.
in your life
Oh,
and probably took different kind of action now. Or
oh
what
well, yeah.
happened?
And it was, I mean, it's, you're absolutely right. It's like looking back, I can recognize that this
Mm-hmm.
was not something I was dealing with effectively.
Yeah.
Kept showing up over and over and over
Yeah.
again, and it's crazy
Yeah.
how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what happened and how I ultimately ended up just going full time was I was miserable. I was so depressed. I was coming home every day and picking a fight with my husband, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just it was really, really bad. And so I decided at some point, like, I can't do this. I need to quit
Mm-hmm.
this job. My husband did not want me to quit. He was
Mm. He
very
was
scared.
resisting as well
Oh,
because of the fear of
Mhm.
income and of course everything
Yeah.
changes. Yeah.
He was totally resisting, and you know, I understand it. I like, it's not like I had a really solid concrete plan as to what I
Yeah.
was going to do. So I completely understand his position. He was very nervous about it. So what I did was a little bit backhanded, because I had studied workplace bullying so much, I knew how to orchestrate getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
Because statistically, when you report workplace bullying to HR, which you should never do if you're the target of workplace bullying, but statistically, if you report workplace bullying to HR, especially if it's a higher level person, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to figure out a way to fire you
Mm.
almost every single time. It's crazy. So
Wow.
almost all research bears that out. They will fire
Okay.
the person reporting the bullying. So I made this big case to HR. I made a big show of it.
Mm-hmm.
It took them a couple months, but eventually, like, I got pulled into this room one day, and the HR director was there, my boss was there, and they started in on this spiel about my performance, which was all BS. And I stopped them, and I was like, wait a minute, hang on. Am I being fired? And they were
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, there's going to be a separation. And I was like,
Separation, yeah. This is what you wanted, right?
victory. And then I proceeded to go off on them totally. I went out in such a blaze of glory in that organization. It was one of my finest moments. People say not to burn bridges, but some bridges are meant to be burnt.
Yeah.
And I went home and I walked in the door and my husband was in the kitchen and I said, Victor, I have some news. Some might consider this bad.
Oh my God.
But I do not. And I told him,
What did you say?
Oh, you know what? He was totally supportive. At that moment, he was completely supportive. He said, okay, you're going to do what you're going to do, and I trust you. And there was no other decision. There was no looking for another job at that point. I was 100% committed to it, and I built enough where I felt like I could figure it out. And I think the thing that I would stress to the people watching this is, I didn't have a huge, nest egg in the bank when I did this. We had money. It was going to be fine, but really, there wasn't a huge safety net there.
Yeah.
You just figure it out and it works out. And I was scared, but I was also just kind of constantly telling myself, every single person who has ever been in this position before has been scared.
Totally.
Every single person.
Everybody's scared. There's no one I know who's taking that big leap. Okay, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to build my business. Everybody's freaking out. And fear. Many people are stopped because of the fear, because of the resistance. Everybody shows off, husbands and wives and, workplace and all that happens. But this is a beautiful story because it's how you got over it. The pattern, how you made that work for yourself, how you took responsibility of the situation, but you showed up like enormous courage what you did on that moment.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, there was no other choice, and I think that's when you know that it's the right thing to do, it becomes so crystal clear. And not even knowing how I was going to do it. I mean, I had some ideas, but I really I had no idea how I was going to do it. I knew that I had.
But you had started building your business, and basically this your own experiences, this bullying and getting fired just like that, and that was so sneaky. It's unbelievable, but that happens. It's not rare.
No, it's not rare. And it's not rare at all. It happens a lot more than people think it does.
But it all led you to find your passion and your niche. Yeah. So it's always do you see that often, people are, going through their own experiences, challenges, and then they learn about something about themselves, and it's this is what I want to talk. I want to change this, because it's totally your mission that you want to change this, that, there's less bullying and more humanity at the workplace and more open communication about things.
I mean, I think it's the negative situations in our lives that push us to do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. So what was going on after that? As many people struggle in that phase. So you just started making plans, creating clients, getting out there.
So what I did was, I think that I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but the very first place I started was I reached out to every single person in my network. Every single person. And it's continually shocking to me where my leads actually come from, because they never come from the people you expect them to come from. They come from the people that you met 2 years ago at a conference, not really even kept in touch with, but they kind of see what you're doing online. They come from people like that. And so that was the very first thing I did, was just reach out to everyone, said, this is what I'm doing. And let me know if I can help you, or anyone I can help in any way. And from there, the leads just started kind of trickling in. Now, I won't say it was an onslaught of leads, but it was enough. And it was through that initial outreach that I have the client, who's still my largest client today, that they came, and I started with doing just a training for them, and then I ended up getting I have a retainer with them now, where I just do ongoing work for them, and so that was how it started, was just reaching out to everyone saying, this is
And did you think I always have a chance to go back? I can always work for somebody else. Did you do any kind of a plan B? So you just set your intentions out there, this is what I'm doing, and let's see where it leads.
I don't really have intention of ever going back and working for someone
Yeah,
else, so I
yeah.
don't really consider that to be an option. I'm not saying it won't happen, but the
Mm-hmm.
situation would have to be so, so, so perfect
Yeah,
that it would just be, it would be on my terms,
yeah,
100% on my terms.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I have kind of kept an eye out there. What I want to do now is I want to get back into teaching college classes, and so doing some adjuncting is something
Mm,
I'm thinking about, just to have, kind of like some steady income coming in, but also being able to shape kind of the next generation of people that are coming
yeah.
up and do this is important to me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really the only kind of thing I have in the back of my head of going and working for someone else right now.
Yeah, 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 totally. And it sounds so right. You're teaching
Mhm.
something that you have learned and it's special and it's unique,
Yeah.
different approach. So I love that. But, all your intentions, like becoming a doctor and, finding your own company and learning your niche, that all is like a kind of a happen, but you had some intentions. You just like think like, I want to do this in some point of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And things are happening now about it. But before we go there, so what was it like for you? Like when did can you remember like a day or something in your business, like when you felt like, hey, this is really working. I'm feeling successful. I feel like I have done it, in sort of a did it kind of an attitude.
Yeah. The day that I signed my first large client, like six-figure client, I was like, okay, this is gonna be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the safe side.
We're
Yeah.
gonna be fine.
Yeah. And how was it before that? Because I know like there's many entrepreneurs who kind of are struggling with the money, asking like good fees, like it's what they're deserving. They feel like I'm not worthy for my services, or and they kind of play small, keep playing small. So what is your advice or your own experience, like how to get over that?
Everyone who asks for a lot of money is nervous when they first start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has imposter syndrome, but you have to realize the value you're bringing to people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I tend to think I have it a little bit easier compared to coaches who just do like one-on-one work, because,
Mm.
when I'm working with organizations, they have the organizational resources behind them.
Yeah,
Essentially for them,
yeah,
like, we're hiring one more full-time person. It's
yeah,
usually not a big deal. So I tend to think I have it a little bit easier in that respect. But, the first time you ask for six figures on something, it's like nerve-wracking.
mm-hmm.
Incredibly nerve-wracking. It's
Yeah,
like, am I really worth this? But you have to just psych yourself up, do whatever you need to do to get in the headspace to know emphatically that what you're worth is that money. You're worth
yeah,
probably more than that money.
yeah,
And the things that you do are going to help them in a way that it's no contest.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's
and
about you, it's
yeah.
always, yeah.
And the thing I've learned too, and you'll hear this on coaching things all the time, is that when people are really ready to change, when they're really ready to do these things, they
Mm-hmm.
find the money. And
Mm-hmm.
it's incredibly true. It's true of one-on-one clients I've had. It's
Mm-hmm.
true of organizations. When they're ready to do something, they find the money. And that's really important, because you don't want to work with people who you're dragging behind you, kicking and
No.
screaming. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
Maybe you
pushing
have
forward. Yeah.
Oh God, and maybe you
Mm-hmm.
have to take on some of those clients when you first get started,
Mm-hmm.
but just when they're ready, and you want to work with people who are ready.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Totally. So, what has it required from you to become successful and be confident about yourself and your things? Because now it's probably easier for you to just start new things than before, because you have kind of grown your courage muscles, and you just have that I'm just going to do this seminar and try if it works out, and
Yeah, I think that first I would say I don't know that it's easy for me to start things. There are a lot of things that I want to do that I kind of like, I don't know if people are really going to sign up for that
mm-hmm.
or whatever. I mean, and I think you've actually seen this. Like I did my work reboot program, which is a program designed specifically for professionals, not for organizations that want to empower themselves and rethink their careers. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this because I had had such an incredibly hard time selling this program before. I was like, and so I basically put it out there to the community, and I said, and I did it on Indiegogo, so it was crowdfunded. I said, if this is something you guys want, then you need to sign up and meet this funding total. And that's the only way I'm going to do it, because I was not going to get into the business.
I didn't actually see that. I haven't seen that. I need to check it out.
Oh yeah. And it worked out, and it got funded. It got barely funded, but it got funded.
Wow.
But I mean, that was an instance where I really wasn't sure if something was going to work. I wasn't sure if people were going to make the investment, and we're talking like a couple $100 here because it was a program, right? But it did end up working out. There are other programs that I've tried to launch that haven't worked out. And I think that the biggest thing that I kind of tell myself is, you know what? If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, there's something else. But there's just sometimes it's better to throw stuff out there and just see what sticks, because you might be surprised at what sticks. So but I would still say I always have worries. I wouldn't say that I'm ever 100% confident when I'm doing anything, really.
But you make it happen. So how do you get any tips or tricks? How do you psych yourself, as you said, like really like when you go out there and put in like brave offer for somebody, like this is how much it costs. How do you do that? How do you psych yourself? What are your tricks, and how to get that confidence and just do it, get over the fear, because action is always like the answer, how to go over the fear, how to overcome fears.
The trick that I learned, and I have to credit my coach with this, because he literally beats this into me every single week when I talk to him, that you have to get yourself in alignment with what you want. Think about what it's going to be like when you reach your outcome. Think about how that's going to feel when you reach your goal and get what you want. Just visualize yourself reaching that goal and feeling really good. And that's how you can kind of get yourself psyched up. So you can do it in meditation, you shut your eyes and imagine whatever you need to do, but imagine yourself already at that end goal. And it does help.
Oh, wow. I love that, because it's basically how you use the power of the mind, like consciously change your thoughts and thinking, and kind of activate your subconscious mind to get there. Get it attracted, however we want to call it, but it's like that's a beautiful way that you can use visualization for it, of course.
100%.
Wow. Do you do that every day? Do you have a morning routine that you start your days, and do you use like a visualization practices, or what is your mantra?
I do it every day. I actually have a giant whiteboard right in front of me, and on it has so my coach and I started doing this thing like where we put things in my vortex that I want. So it has all the things listed under my vortex that I want, and I have like my vortex over here. So it's very, very visual. Like I have to see it. And so I do, like anytime I'm trying to do something, I just like close my eyes for a minute and just say, okay, what is this going to feel like when it's done? This is going to be easy. This is going to flow. This is going to be so much fun to do. And just, you take a few minutes just to get yourself in that space, and it does make it easier. I will say it doesn't make it easier all the time. I tell my coach sometimes, like, this isn't working. Like writing my book, sometimes that's like really hard to do. But it helps more often than it doesn't.
Yeah. Wonderful. It's so powerful when you learn to do that and use that, and just before the important meeting or something you want to achieve. And I know I use the vision board as well. I need to see and feel it, because it's easier than to see it as well with your mind's eye.
Well, and it's so funny because I used to have a vision board just like on a cork board, and it was like this small little thing, and I ended up putting it away in my office because I didn't have room for it. I was moving stuff around, but I pulled it out the other day and I was looking at it and I was like, holy crap.
Oh, I love that. When that happens, like you had everything in there.
Wow. So it works even if you're not looking at it every day.
Yeah. It's just a fantastic moment when you see like, oh my God, this is what I got. Like I set these intentions out there and it has to happen. So it's wonderful. So about your book, you mentioned your book. So I want to hear the story. How did that happen? Because you did put out there something. You obviously love writing because you started blogging and sharing your experiences and kind of teaching through your blog.
Mhm.
and creating your audience. So how did this book deal happen? You just started writing, so it's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. So I always knew I wanted to write a book. I didn't really know what it was going to be about, but I was playing around with some ideas that I had that are aligned
Mm-hmm.
with what I do. I had also, in the process of doing this, I went on Publishers Lunch and made a list of agents that I thought would be supportive of this type of work, that were aligned with authors that wrote this type of stuff. Now, that was important to me. Finding a literary agent was very, very important to me because I don't understand the world of traditional publishing. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something that I wanted to self-publish. And I no judgment against people who do self-publish. I totally get
Mm-hmm.
why they do it, but
Yeah.
it's not something I wanted to deal with, having other stuff on my plate. So I knew I needed someone to help me with this. So I made a list, kind of put that list away for a couple of months. I hadn't really done anything with it because I was still tinkering around with the proposal. Fast forward, and I spoke at South by Southwest in March, so pretty big conference. And immediately after my presentation, I had people coming up from publishers saying, "You need to write a book. Here's my card. You need to write a book. Here's my card."
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of had a basic freak out moment, and I was like, holy crap, like I have to capitalize on what's going
Yeah.
on and people knowing now who I am, but I also cannot do this without help. And so I went
Yeah.
back to my list of agents and I basically emailed the dude at the very top of the list. He was my number one choice that I wanted to work with because of the other authors he's worked with. And I just sent him an email, said, look, I don't really have much of anything right now, but here's what's going on and here's some things
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about and here's my website. Let me know if you can help me. And he emailed me back like that. It
That's very
was
rare,
yeah, yeah, and it was funny because he had actually heard of me. He had found me on Twitter at one point, and he remembered the name of my company, and so
Wow.
he had heard of me, and so there was alignment there, and so then we worked together over the next several months to develop a book proposal based on the ideas I had already started playing around with, and he helped me every step of the way, just kind of talking
Mm-hmm.
through it and really providing that validation that it was good. And then we put together a package, or he mostly put it together. He just said, I need a video of you. I need this. I need this. So I gave him whatever he needed. He then went out to the publishers, and
Mm-hmm.
like before I knew it, there were like 3 different publishers interested
Wow.
in the book.
Wow.
And so what he
Wow.
did is he did a little thing where he said to all of them, you know, come back with your highest bids on X date, and a couple of them did, and voila, book deal.
Wow. Wow, that's so huge because everybody's saying like it's so difficult to find an agent, have
Mhm.
somebody approve you. And what is this book all about, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be called, well, right now it's called Zen
Mm-hmm.
Your Work.
Yeah.
And it's basically about creating your ideal professional experience through a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things we've talked about today, through, I call it like mindful self-mastery, where
Yeah.
getting to know yourself, getting to learning to empower yourself through the choices that you make, building better relationships with people, you know, basically creating your career clarity plan, finding work-life balance. So
Yeah.
all of the things that I work with when I'm helping people to personally empower themselves in the career, it's going to be in the book.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds interesting and sounds that it's very much needed out there because there's probably, I don't know how much there are about that topic, but you know, when you have the unique approach and different approach to it, so I'm sure like it's going to be fantastic.
Well, fingers
So
crossed.
how is it for you? Because it sounds like it's so easy for you to do things and things
Mhm.
just happen, but I know there's a lot of hard work behind it.
Yeah.
And is there any self-doubt? How do you find that courage to just like approach people? Or is it just like what would be your advice? Like, you know, if there's
Mhm.
somebody out there who's willing to start their own company and they deal with a lot of resistance and everybody else around them kind of emphasize that and increase that resistance and those fears. I really want to follow my desires and I don't know how to do that. So what is your advice to them, to these
The
kind of people?
Yeah, the best advice I have is that if you know you're meant to do something, you have to just start doing it. And don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about whether or not you have a day job and you're just doing it on your free time or nights and weekends. If that's what you need to do to set the infrastructure to build what you want to build, just
Mm-hmm.
start doing it. I find that people have the hardest time just starting on
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
that could be building their own business. That could be as simple as looking for another job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Yeah.
not everyone, frankly, is meant to do their own business. Some people just need to be in a different job. But they
Yeah.
start that job search, even though it's just like, go Google. This is not hard.
Yeah.
So I think it just getting over that hump of getting started is the biggest thing. And know that, you know, I think it's easy. It can be easy to look from the outside at someone like me and what I've built and say, oh, she's confident. I have constant streams of
Mm-hmm.
self-doubt.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I do for myself is I have a coach. We've worked together for a year and a half at this point. I hired him
Mm-hmm.
almost immediately upon quitting my job. I think I waited a
Mm-hmm.
month, but I or getting fired from my job rather. I
Mm-hmm.
hired him almost immediately, and he has been an invaluable resource to me in terms of keeping me constantly focused, keeping me constantly on track. He's the person that I go to when I'm having
Mm-hmm.
self-doubt, and he
Yeah.
can remind me like you're being stupid, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
how
oh,
many, yeah, and so I have that person that's my constant supporter. Maybe it's, and my husband is very supportive as well. I think, you
yeah.
know, for those of us who are married, like having the support of your spouse is absolutely critical.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And, you know, we need this kind of a support network around us. You know, I have my own coach. I love working with coaches all the time because we need other people. We cannot
Yeah.
see kind of when we are playing small or when we let our fears hold us back. So it's very important that you have a soundboard in your life, that you
Yeah.
talk about things and share things. And of course, like community, like if talking with
Mhm.
other entrepreneurs and, you know, other women who are there and, you know, following their passions. So how about, you know, it's like there's probably no good answer here. Maybe you have, you know, how to find your passion, because I work with many women who come to me like, I don't know what to do. And I know I have something calling in me, but I don't know what is the right thing to do. How do I know that it's my passion, and what is my purpose, and, you know, all those questions. So what is your advice and key to finding it?
I when someone tells me I don't know what my passion is, I frankly
Yeah.
have to call bullshit. I don't know if I'm
I
allowed to swear in this, but I'm going to.
love it.
It's just not true. You do know what
Yes.
your passion is.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no. You saying you don't know what your passion is just resistance to following it,
Yeah.
because you don't want to deal with the consequences of
Mm-hmm.
following it. You don't want to deal
Mm-hmm.
with the fact that you might have to quit your job, that you might have to, you know, when you're building whatever you want to build, reduce your income for what you don't want to have to deal with those consequences.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you don't know what your passion is. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you can't vocalize it right now, because for frankly a long time I couldn't describe what I did.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
I knew kind of what I wanted to do, but I couldn't describe it. Journal, just
Mm-hmm.
write stream of conscious,
Oh yes.
and it'll come
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
just know that you'll refine it over time. You don't have to have a perfect elevator pitch right this
Mm-hmm.
second to be able to follow what you want to do. But
Mm-hmm.
don't say you don't know what you want to do, because that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like allowing oneself to see what's in there and be honest with yourself. But, you know, it's again, we go back to that fear of getting out there and trusting the uncertainty, because that's we can't really know what's happening. But it's the same thing, even though we would be working for a safe corporate job, you know, anything can happen in a year. It's not that safer. But of course, like changing the routines and everything changes. But what is like what has been most important for you? How, if you compare your life, like when you had a day job and now, what are the benefits? Like, what do you enjoy of mostly of your days? And
So what do I enjoy? I enjoy my freedom. My
yeah,
freedom is the most important thing to me. It's why,
yeah,
I mean, people have asked me why I haven't scaled my business, and it's
yeah,
purely, it's a freedom argument.
yeah,
I do not want to be responsible for other people right now.
yeah.
That takes
I
away.
love that. Yeah,
Maybe I
yeah.
will someday, who knows? I mean, it's always kind of been in the back of my mind. But that's where it is right now. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to go where I want to go. I want to be able to work with the people I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difference between now and where I was 2 years ago, it's mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Wow.
I didn't know what true happiness was until I did this.
Oh my God, I'm getting chills here. You know, it's so wonderful because it is so true. And I relate that to a lot. Like it's about freedom and being able to lead your own life, and where are you going to go next? What is your intentions? What are you going to make happen like in next 2 years, or not necessarily next 2 years, but what do you have out there?
I think I'm really just focused right now on the book, and
Mm-hmm.
I need to write the book, and we'll see where that takes me.
Mm-hmm. And when they're going to publish that?
It'll be, well, the plan right now is September 2018.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
a year from
A
now,
year from
on a
now.
Barnes and Noble near you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to talk with you, and I wish you good luck for your book and business and going out there. I really think like it's very brave that you follow your own instincts and your intuition clearly, but you also have the tools how to do that. So it's like I think you're a perfect example how to make it happen and how to follow your passions really, and also like how can you learn using your challenges and turn them to happy endings, and finding that true happiness. That really was amazing. Like that's the thing, create your own freedom, right?
That's right. And so thank you for having me. This was super fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see you again soon in LA.
I know. See you there in a month.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Karlyn.
All right, Jenny, have a good one.
Thanks, you too.